Hey, before we start part 2 of our Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII, never going to get used to saying that name, I would like to dedicate this episode to Matthew Berry. He supported us on Patreon many moons ago, and we thank you very much from the bottom of our Mother Uffer hearts, or Mother Uffin hearts, for all that you have done for the show. Thank you so much, and please, guys, enjoy part 2 of this lengthy Lightning Returns discussion.
From Provo, Utah, this is the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast with your hosts, Joseph DeGolier and Caleb Schweiss. This is Ultima Final Fantasy.
Welcome to another episode of Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy XIII, a Final Fantasy podcast. I am your host, Caleb.
I'm your other host, Joe.
And this, of course, is part 2 of our Lightning Returns review. Last week, we talked about the story and the gameplay, a little bit on the odd development of this game, I would say. Should we make a third one? Let's make a third one.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, so hope you guys caught that before listening to this one. Otherwise, you're crazy. But now we're going to talk about the look of the game, the music of the game, the you guys' questions, you guys' reviews, the overall legacy, and, of course, dive into our ranking of the Final Fantasy XIII series. And we're getting pretty close to being able to rank all of these bastards against each other. The spin-offs of the Final Fantasy games, the Uber list.
Well, it's not spin-offs, sequels and prequels.
Sequels and prequels. Sorry. Spin-offs.
Dead spin-offs.
Are next. But
right.
We're going to have a nice one in after we finish King's Tale, I believe, a few months from now. So stay tuned for all of that and enjoy the second half of this episode.
Okay, so I do believe that there was a few changeovers. The logo wasn't designed by Amano like it was in the previous 13 games, which is pretty obvious.
They just typed it up.
They just kind of typed it up and went with it.
I mean, it's fine.
And maybe that's why they called it Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13, because they were like, well, we can't get the guy to do a logo for us for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real tough on that drawing time. It's real.
Yeah, he's like, I'll write Final Fantasy and then a number, but I'm not doing shit before that. You guys can find somebody else.
The character design, though, they had to put that the character design was by Nomura, right? They put it in. It's the only other thing written in the goddamn menu when you go into the game. It says character design by Tetsuya Nomura, copyright, whatever. And I'm like, why is this? It has the logo, play, continue, and then character design. But like, why is that necessary in the
main menu?
In the main menu, it's bizarre. Anyway, so it does basically look like a 13 game. However, I have to say, much of the criticism of this game, the game, it like 13.2 was a step down from 13 in quality.
Yeah,
which is it's not going to sell as much, so they can't spend as much time like going into.
Plus, I would say 13.2 is a little more complex.
Yeah, and that too. So you take out things so you can do a few more things. 13.3 Lightning Returns is also a step down. So much so that besides it's still kind of looking like 13, it's honestly, I mean in the general sense, but it's honestly kind of an ugly game.
Yeah.
It looks like an early PS3 game from another company. And like when you it's hard to do this over a podcast. When you look at it, it's not as polished. It's not as pristine looking. I mean, the world is kind of dying, so that's part of it. It's just kind of gray and gross looking and very simple graphics.
Yeah, they
in comparison to what we've seen previously in the series.
Seeing Jake play the game Time Shift earlier in the week, which was a game by Sierra Games, early PS3. I don't think this looks like an early PS3 game, but this doesn't look like one of the last PS3 games that Square Enix put out. They definitely dumbed down the graphical quality. I mean, but one thing we have to realize about this game, that's the other games didn't really have. It's within the 13 universe. It feels like a little more of an interactive environment. Like there's a lot more ladders. There's a lot more things there's more dimensions to it than 13 had.
You can flash things and they can respond.
Yeah. It's
sure.
It's a different game, but I definitely agree. I looked at it and I was like, man, this game looks. It's weird because 13-2, I was kind of surprised by that. I was like, this doesn't look as good as 13. 13 was like a way good looking game.
Still is.
Yeah, it is still great. And 13-2, a little less, but Lightning Returns even a little less than 13-2's.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't really think it's a bad look necessarily. And I mean, the game does accomplish different things, but I'm not really impressed with the visuals of the game. The cutscenes were fine. The high def cutscenes were great, but I mean, that's standard issue. I mean, we don't have not great high def cutscenes.
Yeah, but there's only a couple of them.
Yeah, they're very few and far between. We normally get in game.
I think we only had like 3 of them. Honestly, I think there was a beginning. There was one that was near the end, and then there was the ending one.
Yeah,
and that's it. And it's because they're saving money and they made it really quickly, and they got this other company to do the graphics on it, and they do not do as good of a job. Frankly. I thought it was fine in the battle system. Like, it looked just fine. It was very gameplay like, but it's really in the environments. It's just not as detailed, not as pretty.
Fireworks scenes are lame in comparison.
Yeah, very in comparison. Yeah. So, you get what you get with a third-tier sequel that's going to sell less than 1 million copies. They're not going to spend as much money or time on just the look of the game, which is, of course, kind of like their modus operandi in the first one in 13.
Oh, yeah.
So, it is what it is. I don't think it's bad enough that it's, like, unwatchable. Apparently, like, that's a lot of the negative reviews of the game, like, really remarked on the bad graphics, and we have a question coming up in the question segment that remarks on kind of the bad the graphical quality, but I think it's still fine.
Yeah, it's definitely serviceable. I mean, it looks fine. It's whatever.
Yeah, it's just a game in the PS3 era, and it's just on the lower end.
Yeah,
in my opinion. Anyway. You want to talk about music for a second?
Sure, yeah. What little music they had.
So, this wasn't marked upon anything that I read, but I do believe that they reused a lot of stuff from the previous games.
They definitely did.
And if they didn't, then it's just because the composers come from both 13 and 13-2.
There's a Chocobo Eater fight, I believe, that has the crazy Chocobo theme.
It does.
That plays.
You're right. You're
so
totally
they
right.
recycle a lot of the vocal tracks from 13-2. Yeah.
There is a really cool little moment in the battle music that I really dig the hell out of, but then it just kind of stops and becomes something else, which I'll probably put in between one of these segments.
Okay.
If I can find the right track. Anyway, I really dug that little tiny piece, but other than that, it was just kind of very similar to 13-2's soundtrack. A lot of electronic score, except in the few moments when it became 13's soundtrack.
Yeah, which were great moments, I will say. Really epic, huge pieces.
Yeah.
I found the sound to be, just about as serviceable as the graphics. Not good compared to what we're used to from Square Enix, but decent enough by all other standards. So I mean, it was never awful enough to really take me out of the game. There were usually other things that would get to me before that, like Hope's voice. Yeah, the sound of that fuck going on and on, just droning.
I mean, there were different battle themes per area. I think there were like 3 or 4 battle themes, and I liked them. So that was one thing that I noticed when I was playing the game. It's like, oh, I kind of like the battle themes.
Yeah, boss themes were fun.
Yeah.
It was enjoyable. I mean, everything sounded fine. The voice acting I felt was on par.
Yeah, it was fine.
Nothing really stood out to me like a
because there was less voice acting. I think the voice acting might actually even be better than 13's.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. A lot less cutscenes.
A lot less cutscenes.
A
lot less time to fuck up.
Yeah. So all of that was kind of on point. In-game sounds. There wasn't anything like.
Besides Hope's voice, just
of course, but that's like someone grating my ear into like with a cheese grater until it's just a nub, and then they just flick the nub over and over.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, so we never had a moment where like in 15 when you're getting this awesome backstory with the main baddie and you can't hear anything he's saying, and thank God someone told you to put the subtitles on earlier. There's no weird mixing that I found in this game. One of the cool things they did with the sound though, they made it dynamic, and this is something I noticed because of the camera angles. I would be talking to someone during a quest, and there would be an NPC talking to someone else in the background, and the camera angle would change, and I couldn't hear him anymore. I could barely hear him talk, and then the camera would switch back, and then I'd hear them talking again.
It's a stereo directional response.
Sort of a feel, and it's, I don't know, I thought that was cool, and that's something that games a lot of times don't really bother with.
That's true.
So that was a cool little play on the reality of the situation, which I know is a big theme for 13.4, which was 15, fantasy based on reality.
13 verses.
And and so that kind of plays into that. I don't know. That part was really cool, but other than that, everything else was kind of standard. Yeah. It was doable. Yeah. It felt like most of it was reused from what I recall, and nothing really stood out like the Bartandalus fight in 13. His theme was like just huge and awesome, and the final boss theme in this one was cool, but I don't think it stacks up to some of the other stuff that we've heard from the series.
No, it was good though.
It was,
it was pretty big, epic. It had the right feel. It was a big final boss moment.
Yeah, and it added to the feel of the final boss. I mean, that if anything, that was
It wasn't super memorable though.
Yeah, so
I get what you're saying.
It's kind of like fine across the board as far as the sound and music goes.
It's a rush job. All right.
Yeah. Fair.
It's a rush job. Okay. Music, and then we do questions, right?
Yeah, and then the game's legacy, right?
Right.
Let's dive into la questions. Thank you guys for asking so many questions in these last 3 weeks that since we put this bad boy up.
Right.
First up, Black Mage Justin. Did you guys find yourself sticking to one outfit, or were you constantly switching? I found that near the end I ended up using just 3. I can't remember which ones as I played it when it came out. I
Equilibrium.
Yeah. I switched around while I was playing the game because you earn better ones.
Yeah,
but by the end and through the New Game Plus, I pretty much had my build made, and I was like, sticking to this.
My last build, because I used someone else's build, was Equilibrium Plus, and then Dragoon, and it was something else. And it was like, one was tank, one was heavy magic, and then Equilibrium was like a pretty all-around one with good heavy attack. So that's what I used. Equilibrium was pretty much in my stuff since I realized that Equilibrium was a really good one to have. So
yeah, I used that one too, and then I had Black Mage for a long time. There were a few others that I
used Red Mage for a long time. I'll be honest. Before I got like really good stuff, I used Red Mage.
Really? I looked at it and I was like, trash. I just discarded it.
It was my best one for a long time.
Oh my god! All right,
I didn't do your fucking extra shit. Okay.
I think you're just biased because of Final Fantasy 11.
No,
and I look at it and I'm
my
like,
actual stats went up.
And I'm like,
thing.
Wow, that thing's just about as useless as New Boreas.
All right. This one comes from Stalis. Do you feel all of Lightning's costumes fit her personality?
No, not at all. Yeah.
There's some like gross ones.
Yeah, there's one where her ass is like hanging out on the back, and it's like
gross.
it's not like skimpy.
Coin slot going on.
Yeah, it's not skimpy. Like, ooh, man, that's good. I mean, it is everywhere
coin
else.
Slot has never been sexy.
In the front, it's all right. She's just wearing like a bikini, basically, which is I'm like, okay, I'm down.
Fine.
But then, yeah, her ass is hanging out. I'm like, that's just gross.
And she has kind of a flat ass too.
Yeah, she's very thin. They reduced her.
They reduced her breasts. We talked about this early on in the podcast because this was a news item.
Yeah, they reduced her breast size.
They made
and
her
probably
breasts
her
smaller
ass
from
well.
13.2 to Lightning Returns because of fan backlash for being too sexualized. Now we have to see.
Yeah. Oh no! What it was is, that's not androgynous enough, dude. I can't be.
God.
I can't
It's
be.
got to be more flat.
Yeah, it's got to be more like not sure what it is, so that I don't have to feel guilty when I think of it as a fucking man.
I don't know.
Boom! That is what it is.
I don't think
it's the androgynous nature
I was like
of the weeb culture.
She was like a good C cup in the other games, and now she's I don't know, like a B.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to knock down, and it's not like with Tifa where they were massive, like
Where they were awesome.
ludicrous in the original game, and then I don't know. I like her design in Advent Children a lot, so
Yeah, I do too.
I think it's fine. But this one, I noticed. I was like, "Geez, are those?" And then I remembered like way early on. I'm like, "Oh my god, it is a thing, and it's totally noticeable."
Yeah. Anyway,
no, costumes don't fit her.
how do you feel about the DLC costumes? Don't know. Never used them.
Unisummoner / Gunner, Aerith, and Cloud. That seems kind of weird, but.
Do you think those DLC costumes, which you didn't use, should have been more generic? Nope, don't know. Is it weird that Toriyama likes to play dress up with female characters? Kind of. Obviously, you think it's a little weird.
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit.
It is a little weird. I don't. 13 or 10.2 just makes me want to throw up in my mouth. But this one's not as bad. It is kind of the bikini costume is bad, but it's not as bad as 10.2 in my opinion. Like it doesn't go as far.
Yeah, it doesn't destroy everything you've loved about the previous game.
That's true.
It just changes things. That's all.
That's true.
So
but, I mean the bird outfit from 13.2 is not one that I really loved. The feathery like half dress thing that she wears. I don't even like. I remembered laughing at the commercial when it showed that, and I was like, "What the hell?" Like after 13 had been out, and I was used to Lightning and sort of a conservative get up.
Yeah, she's
in comparison
military.
to or Final Fantasy shit,
right?
And then suddenly it's like, what in God's name is that feather thing?
Yeah. Oh, and then in this one you can take it even further for sure, easily. So Alistair says, did you think it was a good idea to put stat boosts in quests and not from fighting battles, effectively eliminating grinding altogether?
It really worked well in this game, and I think it really worked well in 15, although I kind of wish now, and I'm not sure if we talked about it during the 15 review, I kind of wish that the battles were better in 15 so that there was more of a balance. Instead of just being like, battles aren't even worth it, just do side quests.
Yeah.
And in this one, obviously, battles aren't worth it at all unless you want your EP up.
Right.
So just do side quests.
I don't know if it was a good idea or a bad idea.
I think it worked for the game.
Yeah, I think it's a different idea, and I ended up having quite a bit of fun. I mean, when I would turn in a side quest and I would like see those stat boosts pop up, I'd get excited about it. And I'm like, awesome, man! I have control over what side quests I do, what abilities I can grind out. I can sleep, start a new game plus, do the same quests again, really build up my strength versus my magic or vice versa. I liked it a lot. It was different and it was a lot of fun.
Do you like the structure of the game? There is no structure of the game.
Yeah, it's pretty...
I mean, there's a beginning and an end, and then do what you need to in the middle. But
yeah, I like that a lot, actually. I like the fact that you can do... You can go in, so I beat the... All right, okay, I got to the final guy, and I couldn't beat him, and I started a new game plus, and I was like, all right, how am I going to do this? Now, I fucked it up, but I was able to finish all of the main quests within 2 days. I could have done it in 1 day if I would have done it right. But the replayability factor makes me love the structure of this game. I love that you can choose, you can sit down and plan out, okay, I need to be here by this hour. I need to go do these side quests because they open up at 9. I have 3 more hours. I can either sleep for 2 hours, or I could go do these side quests in this town or go work on this main quest. I think the structure is awesome. I really like the fact that it's like, okay, well, you need to do these things or the world's going to fucking end. But you can do them whenever you want. It's up to you. And there's all these there's like a billion side quests to do and a bunch of canvas of prayers to take care of. So I think the structure is great because there is, like you said, almost no structure.
Did you check out the Outer World services for
God
13
damn it.
and 13 free schemas? Ignore this one, he said.
No, I didn't fucking check it out.
Do you think you're ever going to get a hang of the fighting system, like parrying attacks at the last possible second to stagger certain enemies? When I had to do it for certain enemies to try to get them to stagger because I was trying to get a fucking item off of them, like Desdemona, which if you're too powerful is like really hard to stagger because you'll kill it before you stagger it. I mean, you just hone it in. You just got to keep going until you get it right. It was part of the strategy challenge of the game.
Yeah, it doesn't really exist as much on easy difficulty, but I kind of got the hang of fighting certain enemies. But that's the thing; it's like almost like a Dark Souls sort of a thing. Like, okay, you need to memorize these enemies and their attacks if you really want to master this game. If I want to go through and play it on the hardest difficulty, I'm gonna have to get their attacks down. I'm gonna have to block, and I wouldn't say I got the hang of it, but I got the hang of it enough to get me through it. So
okay.
Riathimus says, how did you feel about the DLC costumes?
Didn't. Jesus, no more DLC questions. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Why would we do the DLC?
I don't know.
We made it clear that we don't do DLC. But thank you for your question. How do you feel about the ending for the game? Says Rasmus, it appears to be the first game in the series which connects the game universe to Earth. No, it's not. 4 does. Because the other moon goes away, and then it's like, oh, it's Earth and moon. Got it? Remember? That's the very end of 4. Anyway. Yeah. Does that break the immersion of the game? It did for 4, and it definitely does for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like it. You?
Yeah, I think it's dumb. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's really necessary. I like the fact that none of them are... Okay, they used to not all be connected, but then some of the games sort of don't care about that and connect them anyway. Yeah. I like the fantasy element of it. I don't mind the games being connected in and of themselves. I don't like it when it's Earth. Yeah, I mean, we're like well,
Spirits Within is Earth as well.
Yeah, and it's like, well, it's not really... It seems like a weird connection to make because none of the things in this game exist on Earth. So it's like, why would it be on Earth? Like,
yeah.
You can give me the illusion. I can suspend reality until you try to push it on reality, and then I can't suspend it anymore.
I totally agree. It's dumb.
Yeah, it's
and they shouldn't do it anymore. Stop, Square. Stop.
Yeah, if anything, we need sci-fi for Earth, right? Future.
Do you like the fact that there was a hard mode for New Game Plus? I like the idea of it. I would never do it myself.
Yeah, I think
I'm too a soft core of a gamer.
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea for sure, but I didn't do it either.
If there was like an extra ending or some shit, like that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shinru. Do you like the humor comedy elements of this game? Guy wearing Vivi's clothes, FF, music, dance, etc. Was there any comedy in this game?
I did see the Vivi thing, but I don't think I really laughed at this game. Of course, I didn't laugh at the movie The Lobster either, and that's supposed to be a comedy, and I didn't think it was funny at all. Okay. So I just don't get it.
Do you like the lore? Just like with the other 13 games, the lore is really hard to understand. You need to look it up on Wikipedia. It's just one of those things.
Yeah,
I would be surprised if someone understood it all when they played it just one time through.
Yeah.
I definitely had to look some things up for this review.
Yeah, I'm sure FF Peasant has a ton of shit on 13.
I'm sure he does, and I would love for someone else to explore it, me to get through it. I know Shinru did ask us if we wanted to do an FF13 universe lore episode.
I think that would be
that's totally a good idea because I would like to learn some more things about.
Yeah, there's some stuff that falls through the cracks over the years for sure. I enjoy the lore. From what I can gather out of it, at the very least, I like the idea of the reincarnation thing. I thought was pretty cool. The parallels between this god and, you know, Satan, according to Christian beliefs, and the whole Earth thing, while dumb to me,
So fucking stupid.
works within the game in a way. I just still don't like it.
So dumb.
So, like,
no, so dumb.
you don't think it works?
Nope.
I think it does, but I just don't
It
like
right
it.
the fuck out of it.
I
If you fully saw the Earth, which I didn't the first time, if you fully saw the Earth, and as soon as I saw the picture that was like high def, and I was like looking at it, I was like, God damn it,
Dude,
Twice was right.
It's funny because
That is so stupid.
when I was thinking about it, I like made a little joke to myself. I'm like, that'd be funny if it was Earth that he was creating for us.
God.
And then at the end, I'm like, oh my God, it's Earth.
So stupid.
But I was like, I threw it away. It was like a throwaway joke thought, like one of those little quips that you make and you never remember again. And then I was like, oh Jesus, I was right. No. Did you get the ultimate weapon and shield? I did. Yes. It's fucking awesome.
I did as well on the second time through to kill him, and
They're beef, man.
Those things were hard to fight the first time, but the second time I went through the game, they were not hard to fight at all to get that stuff. So I was like, why did I even?
One of the guys was
panic
tough for me
about
the
this?
second time.
There
Chocobo
was
Eater was brutal. Or the
Chocobo
guy that
was
looks like a
hard for
Chocobo
me. There was some guy that was like, I don't know, they were really fucking tanky. It was actually before him. It wasn't even like a third level fight because there's like 3 doors that you have to get through in that when you go through those.
Yeah.
And there's a type of enemy in front of each one, and it wasn't even a third tier one that like gave me some trouble, but I still beat it.
Okay, so you got the trophy for the
It was
weapon
like I
and
was
shield.
hitting it with the wrong element or something. I had to switch my shit around just to fight the one guy, but then I was fine after that.
Favorite location / area? Ooh. I liked the Wildlands and the Dead Dunes a lot. I don't like the
Wildlands was
quests.
fun. Hate the Dead Dunes.
I don't like the quests in the Dead Dunes, but I like the look of it. I like desert stuff. I think it's cool.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Dune surfing, yay or nay? That was a cool part of the Dead Dunes. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? This guy's chasing me, but he's never going to catch me. I like killing the lizards, too. That was a nice Shadow of the Colossus callback.
You
right?
learned to perfect block?
No. Favorite returning character? Caius, I guess. I don't know. He's kind
Lightning?
of a dick. Yeah, Lightning. Lightning's a good return.
Sure.
We didn't really
she
get too much
returns
of her.
in this one, you know?
She's the ultimate
She's
returning.
Lightning returns.
She's the ultimate returning character, if you will.
Yeah. Let's see, like the battle system?
Oh, yeah.
I did, yeah. How long did it take you to get the hang of it? Ooh, fucking
Depends
till
on-
the Knoll fight.
It depends on if you're talking blocking or...
Oh, if we're talking about the whole thing, getting hold of the blocking, second playthrough near the end.
Yeah. It takes some time, though. It's you get used to it after a little bit.
Did you extinct any enemies? Twice did.
I extincted at least 10 because it's a trophy for doing so.
CG cutscenes look good. Yeah, the Lightning character face model is slightly different, and that was something I noticed during the few CG scenes there were.
Yeah.
Where I was like, why does her face look a little wider? And I just chalked it up to the other company working on the game.
Yeah.
And it just being slightly different.
Buy any costume DLC?
No,
Not-
Jesus Christ.
Not in this lifetime. I would never buy it.
Never with the DLC.
I did buy DLC for 13.2, but I didn't play it.
Okay. Riding Chocobo was great, right?
Yeah, it was fine.
It was just fine.
Like the Moogles in their village. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Did we
Finding the village was not fun for me.
get lost? Yeah, not really.
Did I get lost?
There were a few times I got kind of turned around, I guess, but the map doesn't turn upside down like 13's does,
right.
which they should hang everyone who worked on that map system
Favorite
publicly.
schemata, Equilibrium Plus.
Did you run into Aaronite? The Uber boss in the sands, the guy in the electricity ball?
No.
Oh, well, thoughts for me was, I don't know how I'm going to beat this guy. Be honest, do you like Lightning and think she is cool? I think she's all right. She's like a female Cloud, so she doesn't have a whole lot of character, a whole lot of personality. She's just kind of pissy. In this game, I like her more in 13.2 and 13.3, I would say, than 13. But I don't know. She's an all right character. There are better characters in the series.
Thoughts on the dungeons? Fuck the Sand Dune dungeons.
Yeah. They were original, but some of them were kind of stressful.
I did like the when I was trying to get the Ultima Shield and stuff.
Yeah, that one was
I guess you would call it a dungeon. It's not really a dungeon, but there are areas that you go into to do a thing. I thought that was cool.
Best version of Hope from the 13 games? Fuck off. Best boss fight? Definitely the final fight.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
I don't know
it's
about
the
you.
answer to both these questions. Best boss fight and most intense boss fight.
That
for
one
me.
was intense, but Aeronite, I say, is pretty intense too.
Well, it's an extra, so.
Did I ever die a lot on one fight? Every fight on normal difficulty, I died a lot. So yes. Except for Noel, because I fought him on like day 9. And he was nothing to me.
I didn't die a bunch, but I started and ended the game on easy. Thoughts on the dungeon leading to Ultimate Weapon and Shield? Great.
Yeah.
Did Buenavilza's wings look like Safer Sephiroth wings in FF7? I mean, yeah, they're wings.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Like the music? Yeah, sure. We talked about that.
Ooh, this is a good one. Now that you've beaten all of the 13 games, where do you rank them for gameplay and story?
We will get to that at the very end.
If it was just gameplay, we could answer it. But yes, gameplay and story.
Gameplay and story.
If
Separately,
gameplay,
we'll talk about that at the end. We're totally going to touch on that.
All right.
Would you consider doing a lore episode? Yes, we already said that. Did you buy anything at the shops? Yeah, of course.
Rare Forge Merchant? No, I thought I was going to have to, but I didn't have to.
Totally did. Rare Forge Merchant had some real good shit on day 10.
Oh, really?
Very expensive shit. Had to sell almost everything else I had in order to afford some seriously good shields. Great stuff.
All right, this one's good. Favorite side quest or most memorable one? Now, I like the side quests. I have a positive experience with them overall. They're not all very memorable, but there was one that I liked quite a bit. There was one where you find a robot. His name's Bhakti, and you have to find oil for him, and then you kind of like get him running again, and he's like, he then leads you to this group of friends that he was supposed to go out and rescue, but he like ran out of oil or something like that. And he runs in there, and like all of his friends they were like people who were trapped in this area, and it's been like a couple hundred years. Like they're skeletons now. They've died and decayed, and there's nothing left. And like, dude, this is like a sad side quest. I was like, God, this is like,
ding, 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 ding.
No, it was hitting me. I was like,
Ding,
Jesus,
ding,
because the
ding,
robot's like going in there, and he's like, my friends.
Ding, 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 ding.
And it's pretty funny too, because he's like, you've gotten so skinny,
Ding.
and they're just like fucking skeletons laying in the corner. And he's like, what happened to them? And then we tell
terrible.
him. Yeah, and he's like, perhaps we can tune them up and give them some oil and shit like that. And he's like this innocent little robot guy. And then he ends up having a spirit at the end. Like he has such a connection with these people that he like shuts down, and I get like a little spirit side quest. And Hope's like, oh, that's fucking weird. The machine was sentient. Huh. And I thought that was a great side quest. I was like, wow, this guy's...
That sounds like a great side quest.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of heart-wrenching. This little robot guy's like trying to save his buddies, and he doesn't realize that they need food. No, he's like, he was like, I didn't realize they needed nutrients so often. Like hundreds of years have passed.
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, we need a little bit of grub.
Let's see. Okay, if Lightning returns, Lightning was in 13 at her current state. Could she solo all enemies?
I think naturally she would have to, yeah.
She's still the strong Lightning from before. It's just got a different system going on now. How would she do in other FF games at her current power? I assume great. Did you get the secret ending? Was the secret ending where she's on the train?
I don't.
Okay. I just kind of looked that up on YouTube because I skipped the credits.
Huh.
So I was like, oh, there's another cutscene after that. So I looked that up. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. Secret France teaser?
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't see that.
I don't know what that is. Lastly, do you think of the power of the PS3 and this beautifully rendered polygon dog that became a meme for being modeled so well, and it is the worst looking polygon dog I've ever seen?
Yeah, he's got a nice link
That's
here.
like PS1
yeah,
era. Wow.
Yeah, and Crimson Command said, thank Buenavilza that someone mentioned that thing. That's no dog.
Oh, my God.
What was your favorite main quest in Lightning Returns, and which of the many side quests stuck out most to you? All right, we already touched the side quest. My favorite main quest, probably the Caius one. I don't know, I thought that was cool.
I like the snow one.
Yeah.
It was stupid, but I liked it. Like, it's memorable to me. I like finding the little necklace and that being like the the thing that opens the door to Snow.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, is like a Kurt Cobain Snow.
Yeah, he's all greasy.
He's
and
all
disgusting.
greasy.
Most of the side quests were whatever, but I enjoyed the introduction to the last ones, which was the Diviner quest, or any quest that put lightning out of her element, like the date, because it was laughable. The main quest I enjoyed Noel's the best, but Saz's was the most heartbreaking. The guy needs a break. Then again, so does Dodge. How many times is that kid going to go through near fatal shit without getting some kind of PTSD? I don't know. He's a super irritating character to me.
Okay.
He just says dumb things, so I don't really care for him.
Black Mage Justin asks, are you happy that the whole 13 trilogy is finally over? Yeah.
Yeah, I am too. Shinru also gives us a picture of Angelo from FF8, and it does look better to me.
Oh my god.
How is that fucking possible? Okay, so really badly done, dog. Did anyone play on PC? His first time playing this. He played it on Steam, but the port was gross. 13 and 13.2 had a keyboard mouse setup where you move with the WASD and move the mouse to look. Lightning Return had an old school configuration where you use the WASD to move and the IJKL to look around. That sounds awful. Q was to overdrive, and random keys like U were used to do actions. I immediately changed to normal keys and schemata as numbers to do actions. Okay.
He continues on to say that this was a super bad port on the PC, and the other 13 games were also kind of bad as well.
Oh, okay. One of my buddies at work
didn't
hates
play
this
it
game.
on the 13 or on PC, and it sounds like it may be a terrible port, and that's kind of sad.
Yeah, play it on. Don't play it on Steam. I've heard other people that hate the game, and they played it on Steam too. Did you use a certain skimpy schema on Lightning even though the stats sucked?
No, because I didn't want to see her ass crack hanging out of her fucking flat ass bikini bottom.
Yeah, that's fair.
Coin slot, never sexy. Never. It's just gross.
Crack kills people.
Crack kills.
Black Mage, did you notice the cup size change?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
He remembers there was an interview where the director was talking about it. He didn't notice a huge discrepancy, but apparently there is.
I noticed.
Are there any game mechanics or systems in the game now that you're finished that you wish were better explained / not in the game? No, I think the mechanics
I thought it was great.
Were excellent. The gameplay is the shining portion of a Lightning.
A lot of people don't like it, though. I have heard the complaint that Lightning Returns gameplay is bizarre and awful. And I heard that a lot when the game came out. Don't know if I hear it that much often now. 2 years later, probably because no one played it. But I dug the hell out of I didn't think I was going to because I heard that it was so awful, but I dug the hell out of it.
And I also, after 13.2, it's like, where do we go from here? I mean, seriously, this is awesome. This is like amazing gameplay.
Yeah. Okay, Matunica. What did you think of the downgrade in graphics?
Shinru mentions the crappy dog, but he found the whole thing so jarring it made the game really difficult to play.
It's just not as good. I don't think it's difficult.
I would say if you're playing it on standard def, kind of. When I was streaming, it was tough. I need to not play high def games with that standard definition streaming card. It does not look good. After finishing 13.2, he was excited to play, but popped in the disc and watched a beautiful opening cutscene, and there was Lightning and Hope in a white room talking about memory loss, and their hair was terrible. Come on, Square. I expect much better hair graphics from my FF games, and this is way below the mark.
Their hair.
The whole game looked terrible compared to 13.2. Okay. So I only got about 7 hours in, but can you please answer these questions for me? Is it worth continuing the game?
I think it's a fun game.
Yes, it is. Is the ending worth it in regards to the whole 13 universe?
No, not at all.
Does Snow lose the mullet? God, no. It's disgusting.
No, it's so gross.
Are Fang and Vanille Aussie lesbians? God, yes. They have been the whole time.
I wish that there was a little bit more.
Why Old Hope? 13.2's Hope was okay. Why Old Hope Square? Why? I don't fucking know.
There's no answer.
The
God Buena Velza was like, I like the young boy.
Yeah, he's a Oh, Jesus. Never mind. No, he's Catholic. Okay, I'll say it.
God.
What did you think what did you think of the downgrade in graphics?
We've already mentioned this.
Oh my God, he doubled it down.
Oh, he double posted. Okay,
I was like, wait, didn't he start with that?
He accidentally double posted.
All right. Crimson Command, last question from him. Now that you've completed the 13 universe, were the sequels necessary in any means?
Nope.
Absolutely not.
No, not even 13-2, which I liked.
Yeah,
this is not a necessary sequel.
This one might be more necessary just because 13-2 actually had an open ending, but 13-2 is not necessary. It's a great game. Does it add to the universe? Does it add value?
No.
I think it adds value because it's a better game, but it doesn't add value to the lore of the universe necessarily.
No, yeah.
His opinion is no, they weren't necessary. 13 ended fine. Yes, they were. There was very much a value added to the universe. His opinion is 13 was so low that it was battling FF2. Oh my God, on his list.
Is that 11 or it's 2? Okay.
Yeah. However, after playing 13-2 and Lightning Returns, I've grown to look back at 13 a little more fondly. Maybe I feel it's because I spent much more time with the characters. Maybe I should replay 13 and see if I connect more with them. Yeah, you should. That's
there's a lot of good in 13, but
there is, yeah.
There's a lot of bad too. But the whole 13 trilogy is a mess because they don't really mesh together. Anyway, okay. The last thing we need to talk about is we got user reviews. We got to talk about the legacy of the game. Then we got to rank the motherfucker.
All right, let's do it. Let's see what you guys gave us as far as reviews. Black Mage Justin. I purchased this wonderful game on release day.
Quotes.
While not being able to control a whole party isn't new for the series, it definitely suffered from it for sure. While the combat system did grow on me eventually, by the end I just found cheap, spammy ways to end fights as you don't gain XP from fights, so what's the point? Lightning is touted as this super badass, but I really just didn't connect or like her as a character, and Hope... Well, let's just be happy that you run out of days. It's really the better ending because it means Hope is dead too. I finished the game in 53 hours.
Hope is dead before this, I swear to God.
Yeah. One playthrough, replayability, a 6. I would like to go back to it now, but only because it's been a couple years. Gameplay, a 7. Rough to start, but once you get used to it, it's pretty fun. Although, a fetch quest game isn't really the kind of game I like. Just a bunch of rambling, and I know it's a little long, and a crappy, thrown together review, but... It's all right. It's an all right game, especially now that it's not full price, and we never have to see these characters again.
Wow. Okay. All right. So, positive review? Probably not.
No.
Alistair, it's an interesting game, a side quest simulator mixed with a little Majora's Mask, where side quests are the only way to level up, so there's no grinding and time must be spent wisely. I thought it was a neat idea, but was held back by being part of the 13 trilogy. Combat was also fresh, but often frustrating because stagger isn't exactly the way it was in the first 2 games. Bosses were a pain, bordering on unfun.
Agreed.
But rewarding when you come back to them with a specialized schema set. I think the story was pretty terrible. Between 13-2 and this, the events of 13 are now completely pointless. Yes, they are. Because despite everything we did with Caius, literally destroys the entire world anyway, and would have done so no matter what. So I'm a little salty about that. The end of the world premise by itself is kind of interesting. This is one time you can't save the world, just as many people as possible instead. Lightning and Hopes are now almost completely shadows of their former 13 selves at this point, and it's hard to care about either of them. The rest of the 13 cast shows up, and they're just kind of there for the most part. So it was kind of interesting to play. Didn't give a shit about the story because of how far removed from the original version of 13 we've gotten. Would have been better as a standalone game, or just not a 13 game specifically. I wouldn't probably replay it, but I don't know. I don't know if I'd say it's a terrible game.
Corey says, hasn't played it. Questions are, is it faithful to the continuity of the two games before it? No. Do you need to play the other two before you play this one? Yeah.
You need to play the second one, which you probably don't need to play the first one.
I would probably play them anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The story's not mega included. All right, Shinru has one here.
Oh my God, Shinru.
Bought this game on launch, and it was one of the few times where I encountered young 11-year-olds pre-ordering the game at the store when I was in line. I guess Lightning has fans of all ages. I just thought it was weird that a kid was pre-ordering this game, and I wondered if he played the rest of the 13 games too. I had the Cloud DLC, and it was awesome. I played the FF7 Victory Fanfare. I beat it first on easy, like Square Enix said, and then the second time on normal, and then on hard mode. I platinumed the game after my second playthrough, and I am a god at this game. No, seriously, when this game came out, you would find small communities discussing it since it wasn't as popular as 13 or 13.2. I played the demo for days before the game came out, so I had already practiced and learned the battle system well. People would share this awesome schemata builds. Oh, they would share their awesome schemata builds and whatnot. This game is extremely in-depth with all sorts of hidden systems. Like, did you know that arrow and thunder attacks are always best to stagger enemies than blizzard or fire?
Guides told me that, so yeah.
Their duration of reaching stagger lasts longer, and they have a longer hit effect, so enemies that aren't even weak to those elements can still be harmed more with those attacks.
Eroga for the win.
Also, the Ara versions are better than the Aga versions for staggering and fast casting.
Whoops.
Definitely. That's why the fourth phase of Benevelza took forever. Then you had the ability to change schemata color, and I made mine themed around the Matrix and ninjas. I had Lightning in this black Trinity costume and would slow down time and fight bosses like Aeronite with my sick weapons. So awesome. Switching schemata, taking no damage, then drink power drink potions and boost attack, and then hit him with the Mikote outfit. That's the one I had, Mikote. That was sick. I love this game, and I find it funny how I prefer Lightning Returns in 13.2 over 13. The gameplay in this game is just so good, and I dig the quests, environment exploration. The ability to extinct enemies, get special magneto weapons, perfect blocking is a skill at demonstrating true gamer abilities. All just adds to the appeal of this game. Was really blown away by the ending CG cutscene, Lightning defeating Benevelza, and then that secret movie where she appears in the real world France.
Okay.
Maybe I do remember that. I don't know.
Is it really France, though? I watched the cutscene where she gets off the train and she walks into the countryside.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe.
I don't know if that's France.
I guess it is, according to them.
It's just a place.
I honestly miss Lightning and would like a fourth game now in the 13 series. Just by writing this, I want to go play it again.
Okay. All right. Shinru says, oops, forgot to gush about the dungeons. Love them in this game. Had fun getting lost in the one with Fang, too.
Your version of fun is very different than mine.
And the reason I don't want to replay the game is just having to go through that area
section.
Yep.
Yeah. That section was my...
I would rather do the Chocobo shit again.
That was the one I dreaded the most, going back through.
That final dungeon was great. I killed every enemy in there, did the little outside dungeons for the ultimate weapon and ultimate shield. I also like that, Shinro. Which are the only way to beat the final boss unless you are a masochist and like to play FF13 without beating the 4 side bosses and rush straight to Cloud of Darkness, lol. FF3, sorry. I misread that, so I ruined your joke. Sorry, Shinru. The side dungeons for the ultimate weapon and stuff had great music from the past 13 games and featured artwork reminding you of previous places you fought. Felt really awesome to relive those memories. Is this our last review? Nope.
No, not even. Yeah.
2 more.
Crimson Command. So I played this, the entire trilogy back to back recently. And to summarize, the 13 universe is better with 13.2 and 13 in it. Yes. 13.3. Oh, sorry. 13.3 because I'm petty. I mean petty. It's so stupid. It's how upset this name of this game makes him. I'm mad at the fact that I have a nice little list of FF games on Steam, and guess where Lightning Returns is? Not with the other ones. Anyway, I digress. I did not like Final Fantasy XIII, the original. I had a lot of gripes about it, but I really liked 13.2, and I eventually liked 13.3 a lot. At first, since I played them all in sequence, I was shocked by all the changes to combat, navigation, world, etc. However, I soon really started to enjoy the gameplay. More on that below. Story. This whole series is convoluted as hell. I like the idea of 13's man versus gods, trying to go against fate and fighting against the oppression protection of benevolent deities. That seems to be carried along throughout the series as it continues. I'm glad they stuck to one overarching theme. Lightning Return is on the premise that lightning is saving souls. By gaining more souls, you become more powerful. In the beginning, it shows that lightning can just drag a soul out of some helpless sap who got in her way. But I have to go around and do dozens of side quests to save souls. It's not like lightning has a soul. What does she care if she goes around forcing souls out of people's chests? I think the multitude of reactions to eternal life is interesting, but not played out enough. The characters' stories are interesting enough, but my biggest thing is that Noel never mentions Sarah in Luxurian's main quest. Like it never happened. I like the beginning to this game in Luxurian. It was an intriguing start. Finally, poor Saz. He gets the raw end most of the time.
Gameplay, fun as hell. I really dug the system eventually. At first, it was a bit of a shock compared to 13 and 13.2 system. It also changed the idea of being strong enough I fucked up the series of events by not blocking enough. Or build was not as good. I like the garb system much more than 10.2's, but I feel like the designs I felt like the designs were fan service. Okay. What is the skimpiest outfit we can place on Lightning? It goes the same for the MP. I still don't think it's as bad as 10.2. Swear to God. That's my opinion, but whatever. It is bad still, I guess.
Yeah,
whatever. As bad, whatever. I can't tell you how many NPCs the camera upshotted while I was playing. They really took a page from 10 on NPC design. I honestly really liked the absence of the level grind. I still fought monsters, but this kind of system has been used by Square before.
Oh.
Okay, Chrono Cross used a star system in which you really leveled up only after beating bosses. There are not a lot of enemy types in this game, so you become incredibly proficient in killing them. That is true. Which is awesome for things like the last ones, which was an interesting addition. My one gripe is that if you kill almost all of the species in the wildlands, good luck getting EP. I enjoyed the side quests, although I admit I didn't read half of the canvas of prayers. I just turned them in because I had the stuff already.
There you go.
Me too. While I hate the idea that Hope was transformed into a kid again, ugh, sigh, I found myself enjoying the banter between him and Lightning when he's been silent for a while.
Oh, fuck that.
When he's been silent for a while.
When is that? Yeah, when is that?
Near the end of the game. I like not having a party, honestly. I think it has got to me to connect to Lightning, which only took 3 games to do, and it didn't hurt the game at all. The world is beautiful, and conceptually, I get it. Valhalla and Pulse merged together to create this new world. This is what would have happened when Gaia and Terra would have merged in 9, I guess. I wish they would have explained it a little more honestly, because 3/4 of the game, I was wondering where the hell everything went from the previous games, nor do they really touch on how horrific it would have been for people to be wiped away by this. I mean, it has been 500 years.
Yeah. People forget.
Yeah. The music, it was They copied most of it from the previous game shamelessly. I'm not a nostalgic guy, so I could care less about it. Most of it was atmospheric. Overall, the game was fun and enjoyable. I liked the story more than 13, and the combat was on the same level, if not better, than the last 2 games, in my opinion. Don't expect a brilliant story, but if you've been slightly invested in the universe, just buy the game and play it. I think they could have done so much more with the story based on the content and plethora of ideas, but it always seems to fall short. The only one in the trilogy that seemed to fulfill as much potential as they could was 13.2, but fell short with the not giving us more Caius and Noel. I would definitely replay this.
All right, Rathmus. If the mainline Final Fantasy games were a large extended family, Lightning Returns is the black sheep offspring of that uncle that nobody likes.
Oh my God.
It's a shame, really, because despite its obvious and numerous flaws, it's really not such a bad game. Flaws. Feels like one giant fetch quest. Very short and meh plot, although still better than everything you did. Was a waste of time because things happen exactly the way the bad guy wanted plot for 13.2. Limited enemy selection. Positives. Possibly one of the best battle systems in the whole franchise. One of the most satisfying feelings is when you execute a challenging fight well and destroy the enemy, as opposed to the enemy destroying you. A lot of replayability in terms of New Game Plus and harder difficulty. Alternative form of the final boss. Score Score Attack also encourages players to improve on their previous attempts and particular bosses. A very unique way of grinding to become godlike requires multiple playthroughs to fully optimize abilities. Unfortunately, it was a game which put many people off due to the cosplay dress-up and steep learning curve, but if people gave the game some time, they would actually find an incredibly fulfilling battle system. The feeling of destroying Chaos hard, Aeronite hard, and Benevilza hard plus with your fully optimized abilities
so hard.
is unmatched. I am sure it is, and I am not going to do that.
Steven. Oh wait, no, we got Alundra. Sorry, it was an okay game. I did like the battle system a lot. The ending was okay. I just beat it because I finished the other two. I wanted to see what happens, and it was just okay. I had the guide, so I beat it in one playthrough. Way to go! By the way, Steven says my favorite gameplay of the 13 series. My least favorite story of the 13 series.
Okay.
Those are our reviews. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for those short reviews, guys.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Legacy. Okay, so when this game initially came out, we had started the podcast, I believe.
Yep.
Or at least
came out the year that we started the podcast.
I think it might have came out. Yeah, I think it came out like 3 months before the podcast.
Yeah, it came out in February. It came out on February 11th, and we started in May.
Yeah. So it was like a recent Final Fantasy game. I thought it was going to be the big Final Fantasy game of the year when we did the
best game of the year.
The best game of the year thing for our yearly awards show.
Theater beat it.
Theatrhythm beat it, and it just blindsided me, along with another thing that beat us that year. It blindsided me that Lightning Returns, despite being kind of like the A game that Square put out, like the big game.
Yeah, it's the AC game, as it were. Yes.
It was not received that well. A lot of people were like, what the fuck is this? What is this battle system? I remember hearing a lot of complaints about the battle system just being super bizarre. And even at that time, people were like, oh, 13.2 is even better than 13, but Lightning Returns, I don't even know what the hell that is.
Yeah.
At least that seemed to be kind of the atmosphere, that seemed to be the impression I got from reading things online. Obviously, now we just read a whole bunch of reviews from our listeners, and most of them were in the mixed to positive area, which I'm actually kind of surprised by.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's the impression you've gotten from the community?
This is as far as what I gather from this game's legacy is not a whole lot of people have played it. A lot of big-time Final Fantasy fans obviously have played it, and it's kind of one of those forgettable ones as far as I can tell. Like not a whole lot of people are talking about Lightning Returns. It's not like this big thing that's on the mind. It's not like a game that you ever really hear about. It's kind of along the same lines as of Revenant Wings from Final Fantasy XII spinoff. Like,
sure, I don't even think it's that small, but yeah,
it's not a very big game, and a lot of people hate it. A lot of people just don't like it. I mean, I know plenty of people that love 13.2 that just they hate this game.
Yeah.
A lot of them did play it on PC though, and from the sounds of the PC controls, that might be part of it in the beginning. But I don't know. It just seems like this is kind of a forgotten, but maybe also one that's not that has not been played nearly as often as many of the other games in the series. So I think its legacy is sort of a mixed bag, where Final Fantasy fans actually seem like they might like it more, and then just actual game critics, it's not as well received overall as a game.
I don't think it was that well received. So I think that's kind of it for its like legacy though. There's not much to it. It's too new to like really get down and dirty with it, and once again it wasn't played that well.
Yeah,
or that much.
Yeah, it didn't have like a revitalization, like a cult following after the fact yet. It hasn't been that long, so it hasn't had that opportunity as of right now. So I mean, it's just kind of one of those low selling forgotten games to me. And the sad part, I just pulled up Revenant Wings, and as of August 8th, 2008, that game sold 1.04 million units.
So Revenant Wings sold more than Lightning Returns.
Yes. That is ridiculous.
Whoa. What?
Revenant Wings, people. More people have played Revenant Wings based on that.
I can tell you right now, I like Lightning Returns a lot more than Revenant Wings.
What? No, I'm just fucking with you.
Okay. I was like, what are you serious right now? Are you gonna
There's a barrel, and Revenant Wings is near the bottom of that barrel. Now, it is no dirge of Cerberus.
We're gonna have to, after we beat A King's Tale, we gotta rank all of the sequels against each other just to do it.
Yeah, we need to.
Just to have one of those episodes. But Revenant Wings, that's what I think.
Platinum that too, in a way. You got 100%.
In a way, yeah, you did do everything, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, just kill yourself. Just kill yourself.
I'm already dead on the inside.
All right. Now it's to rankings, Schweiss.
Yeah. So last time, both of us came to the realization that 13.2 is better than Final Fantasy 13. So as of right now, our rankings for the series, the trilogy of Final Fantasy 13, they are identical. We got 13.2 and then Final Fantasy 13. Now,
yes.
Where are you going to put this one? I mean, we had a question earlier that was...
and I will address it. I'll do my monologue, and then you can do yours.
Okay, go for it. Hit it.
Lightning Returns, I think, is actually like a really good, solid game. I think for a game, and games do not have good stories in general, I think that for a game, the story is serviceable enough, and that the gameplay is really good, in my opinion. It did take it was a large learning curve type of a game, which is rare in the Final Fantasy games. Usually the learning curve is pretty fast, unless it's FF11, and then it might be like a day of playtime.
Yeah.
But for this, it was kind of a long learning curve just to understand the fluidity of the battle system. But once you kind of understand it, where it just becomes a puzzle or a strategy and a challenge, and it's fun, then I think it's just great gameplay. Now, I don't think that it is as fun to me as the gameplay of 13.2 or 13, but it is still great. The thing is that it's just different, so ranking them is a little tough. But I'm going to go ahead and say that 13.2 is primo gameplay. It's the best, in my opinion, the entire series of the menu-based gameplay system.
Okay.
And then 13 is just under that as the best one in the main series menu-based. And then Lightning Returns is under 13 as a very good and very interesting, and I like the way that it utilizes some of the things that we saw before. It's very good in that respect, gameplay-wise, as an action RPG. And I dug how it was experimental and sort of, your ability to go through the story in like an episodic way if you wished, and you can move around. It's even more open than 13.2. And although I always play these games in a linear fashion, I like the idea that it's there. I dig that it exists, and I know a lot of people used it and exploited it and enjoyed the side quests and all that other stuff. So I think the gameplay is great, but I think 13.2 is the more solid one, in my opinion.
Okay.
And even 13 it's a great system, and it's big behemoth, and it's wonderful. Graphics wise, it's the worst in the series. Music wise, it's the worst in its I guess it's sub series, not the whole Final Fantasy series, because there are some spin-off games that we've played that not good. Story wise, it's I can't say that it's better than 13's story even, because I talked about the bullshit that's in the story as well, so I'm actually, Shinru, I'm going to have to go and say that the story, for me, it goes 13-2 is just a hair better than 13, because 13 is like bigger in scope and has higher highs, but 13-2 as an average is better for me than 13. And then 13 is far better than Lightning Returns story-wise, and to be clear, 13 has a lot of flaws. Lightning Returns has some stupid shit in it that I did not like. But, you know, it was fine. It was fine as a game. I think it's actually like a good, solid game. So although these are very close in ranking to me, especially on the gameplay aspect, I'm going to overall have my rankings for the 13 trilogy as 13-2, primo, just by a hair, over 13. And then a step down, but not a huge step down, Lightning Returns.
All right. I agree. I was hoping you were yeah, that's the end of the episode, yeah. Just roll credits. I was hoping you were gonna put 13 below it, but
no.
I think the battle system in this game is better than 13's. I do. I enjoy it more. I would rather play this game again for gameplay than 13's, and I also would rather go through this game's story before 13's. I don't think it's better, but I can skip it. A lot easier.
You can skip 13s now. You can just
but I have to skip like 7 at a time because it's cutscene, gameplay, and then 3 more cutscenes 5 minutes later. This one, they don't care about cutscenes as much.
True. That's
you
true.
Just skip the shit out of it. The gameplay, I think, in this game was surprisingly good. I liked it more than 13. Just barely. Like, all 3 of these games have excellent gameplay mechanics. Their battle systems are all great. They're all
just wish it was
amazing.
I wish it was with a better story.
I do too. I wish it was with a less bullshit, annoying story without these little shit characters in it sometimes. Without hope. It's unfortunate that this much fun has to come from a game that has that bad of a story as Lightning Returns has. I don't like the story in this game. I don't. And the Final Fantasy is kind of about the story in a lot of ways. Now, this game is a blast to play, but I can't, in my right mind, put this above 13 because 13's story, while very confusing and convoluted,
it tried,
and it makes more sense.
It has some really good moments in 13 that Lightning Returns has no like huge like fireworks scene moments. Like there's nothing that is just earth-shatteringly mainstream Final Fantasy cool.
It's not as great, and I don't know. I like what this game did, though. I think this is a game that if you have played 13 and 13-2, you should play Lightning Returns. I think you'll have fun with it. I think it'll be a surprisingly fun game to play. Just don't worry about the story. Although just don't worry about it, and if you just don't worry about the story, you'll have a lot of fun playing the game. But I can't in my right mind put this above 13. There is no way. When I got to 13, I had a fucking blast with that game, and I had a blast with this game too. After I got past the brutality of normal mode, but the story in this thing, I don't like the ending. I think it sucks. I think it works in a way, but I still don't like it.
Overall thoughts on the 13 trilogy?
It's a black sheep kind of, and it has some of the best things in it, but it also has some of the worst things about Final Fantasy in it.
I agree.
And it is like you said, it's unfortunate that this much fun has to come from a game that has a story like 13 does.
It's so flawed.
I know, yeah.
13-2 is not... 13-2 is a high point, story-wise.
Yeah. Lightning Returns, though, like, I don't even care. I don't know. It is unfortunate, but they are a lot of fun, I think, and it's definitely worth your while. At the very least, I think the trilogy is a worthwhile playthrough.
I've decided upon what I would give advice for people if they ever were wondering when they played 13... if you're ever thinking, should you play the sequels? If you liked the battle system of 13, even if you didn't like the story, if you like the battle system, play the sequels.
Yeah, play them.
Because the games will be fun.
They will.
They're better. Well, Lightning Returns is different, but at least 13.2 is a better system. And Lightning Returns, you might as well just play it since you played the other two.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense not to, right?
Doesn't make sense not to. I think the 13 trilogy is a cobbled together trilogy with great gameplay. They were obviously making the story up as it went along. There's no cohesion to the three parts. Obviously, they didn't even know they were going to do a sequel to 13.2 until later, which is ridiculous. So even with that ending to 13.2, that is the oddest thing to find out.
It's Star Wars original trilogy.
Yeah.
13, they knew that was going to be a thing. Yeah. But then they made 13.2, and George Lucas didn't plan on making the best Star Wars
claims
movie.
He did, but
he's a liar.
I doubt it.
There's an interview where he says that he doesn't know who Leia's going to get with while they're doing the first movie, whether it's going to be Luke or Han Solo. So they're not siblings until he makes them.
Lucas. It's from someone else saying that Lucas didn't know.
Yeah, no, it was. I remember hearing
Lucas.
Yeah, I think I saw Lucas saying that.
I'm gonna have to dig into that.
So he didn't know, but once you made Episode 6, I mean, the way Episode 6 ends. Or 5 ends. There's an episode 6 coming.
Yeah.
This one, 13.2 ended. There's a Lightning Returns coming. It has a wide fucking open ending. It's like, oh shit, everything's going to shit. Oh, credits. Oh man, we're gonna get another game. So, yeah, 13.2.
Then you got some DLC that we didn't.
That too. Yeah, that probably would have made this all make more sense.
That probably was it.
But I almost feel like we should, for the sanctity of the podcast, we should stay away from some of that, because that's almost like fluff that they put out after the fact.
I'm not gonna suck Square's dick for that.
I might play him eventually, but it's obviously
I'm not
too
gonna
late.
throw any money at that shit. Fuck that. Yeah,
play
I don't
him.
know. If you like the gameplay, you'll like the other ones.
That's the strong point for sure of the series. So
wow, 13 trilogy is over, Schweiss. We gotta finish Heaven's Word. And then we just have 2 more games in the sequels, in the sequel run. Right? So, King's Tale.
Which is like a 3-hour game.
That's right. Hell yeah. And
Heaven's Word.
Heaven's Word.
Yeah, and then we're going to move on to, oh my god, it's Tactics next, isn't it? It's the Tactics.
Hold on, look at the site. Fuck
it. We're pulling up the site.
The review's over now. So
editing is for losers.
Yeah, editing is for losers.
Okay, so we got the 13, we got the 14.
Oh,
it's Evil East Alliance, baby.
Dude.
And then Type 0.
Oh, fuck. So this is where we need to find out between now and by the time we beat Heaven's Word what order we're going to play the Tactics games in.
Oh, man.
So we got... The series that we're doing is Final Fantasy Tactics, so we're wondering if we should do Tactics, and then Tactics Advance, and then Tactics Advance 2, and then Vagrant Story, or if we should do them in series chronological order.
You know, the tough part about this, if we're going to stick to our guns as far as the podcast is concerned, we
do series chronological. But
No, we don't, because we did... We did Crisis Core before Dirge of Cerberus. We did, but we didn't do Crisis Core before Final Fantasy VII.
That's true.
We're talking Final Fantasy Tactics was an early Final Fantasy game. That was a Final Fantasy. Like, that came out around Final Fantasy VII. It was afterwards, because Cloud is one of the playable characters in it, right? That's an old game. Like, if we're going to go... I don't know. It's hard because it doesn't really work because it's not main series.
We could do it as when it came out, which is how most people would play it. So you do Tactics first, then Vagrant Story, then Advance, and then Advance 2.
Yeah, or we're going to do it chronologically, which is Advance 2, Tactics, Vagrant Story, and then Tactics Advance.
We'll have a question from us to you in a vote at some point.
I think we totally should.
Stay tuned. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Ultimate Final Fantasy podcast.
Yeah, somehow we managed to talk about Lightning Returns longer than
13.2.
Than 13.2, and I would say longer than it would take us to read the script to Lightning Returns.
That's probably true. Anyway, we do have some of the shows. Nude Clan is a great gaming show if you want to check that out. Parasite Eve 2 will actually be reviewed.
Yes, for real this time.
In a week, right?
Although if we do break this into 2 parts, it will have already been reviewed.
Yeah, whatever happens, who knows? If this is a part 2, then it's out. It's out.
Enjoy.
If it's not, then it's out next week. Who the fuck knows? We'll find out in post. There's also the Godzilla podcast, which we'll have an episode out that is going to be Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
Oh, nice.
So that's exciting. And also, me and Drew are going to have a mini episode about the movie starring Anne Hathaway called Colossal, which was a tiny little kaiju movie that just suddenly popped up. And I'm like, Drew, we got to go see it.
Oh, nice.
So we saw it, and we got to do a small little bonus episode for Godzilla podcast. And then, if you were missing super sexy swinging fan fiction from back in the day, it has its own show. It's Kaleb and a dude named Jake who does really funny drops, and you should listen to that show as well. Otherwise, Schweiss, check out our website and Twitter and Patreon and all that stuff.
You know the goods.
Yep.
Enjoy the grind.
This has been another production of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. The show was produced by Joseph DeGaulier and Caleb Schweiss, with music and editing by Joseph DeGaulier, parodies and clips from their respective authors, of course. You can get all of our episodes as well as our Let's Plays at ultimafinalfantasy.com. You can also contact us on Twitter at UFF Podcast, as well as our contact page on our website. Be sure to subscribe and review our podcast. Your reviews may get read on the show, and look forward to the next episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast.